This week's 1044 is brought to you by Chevron Delos 600 ADF Ultra Low Ash Diesel Engine Oil. It's time to kick some ash.
How Bridgestone is reimagining tire management programs for small and medium-sized last-mile fleets.
Hey everybody, happy New Year's Eve, and welcome back to the 1044, a weekly webisode from the editors here at CCJ. I'm Jason Cannon, and my co-host on the other side is Matt Cole. Larger fleets in trucking generally have more access to programs that offer lower prices, improved service, and other things. Tire manufacturer Bridgestone is looking to help smaller fleets in the last mile segment with the introduction of a new tire management program.
Bridgestone's last mile tire system allows small and medium-sized fleets to manage their tires while unlocking the benefits that Jason mentioned traditionally only enjoyed by large fleets. We're joined by Christine Reagan, Director of Last Mile Solutions at Bridgestone, who talks about the company's new program and how it aims to help tire management for smaller last mile fleets.
Last mile, I think, is a term that all of us have been using forever. And then most of the time we associate it with Amazon or FedEx deliveries, right? Come into a house. But it's definitely a market that's been growing for a while. I think through the pandemic, we've seen it significantly continue to increase here in North America. And as we look into the future as well, right, it's going to be a market that continues to grow at somewhere around 27% over the next 5 years. So it's of high interest for us. We do play strongly in that market today with larger fleets, but the majority of these fleets, even if we're thinking about FedEx and Amazon and those companies, it's small and medium fleets that operate on behalf of those larger organizations. And historically, these fleets they have two issues. One, they're very cash constrained. And so when they're operating, when it comes to like what is the right tires, which is what we care about, right? What are the right tires that I should be buying for our operation? They tend to err on the side of what's the tire that I can afford right now, right? Just to keep afloat and operate versus, what is really the right tire that I should be buying. And so that means we have lower market share than we'd like to have. It's a growing market segment, so it's definitely interesting for us. The other key thing is, as we're transitioning to become a sustainable solutions provider, again, these fleets purchase tires that aren't really set up to be retreaded, to be used in the right ways. And most of the time, it's a one and done situations where a lot of these tires that don't last long, in some cases, 1 month, 3 months, 4 months, and that just end up in landfills. And it's so a very wasteful application. And we believe that we have a better way of, helping those fleets, helping the larger organizations, and really see all around benefit.
Christine says Bridgestone is using its experience from its existing tire management programs and coupling that with new technology in this program.
We've been looking at this market and looking at fleets and learning about the segment for probably on a more focused level the last 2 years specifically. We were lucky enough to connect with someone in the space that, has a strong interest in managing the tire program better. And we obviously have a lot of learnings from our larger fleet and national account programs. So if you're thinking about the Penske's, the UPS's, the JV Hunts of this world, there's a lot of things that we're already doing with larger fleets that helped us kind of carry over into this smaller fleet space. In addition to that, as we go through life, right, technology improves, and we've been testing different technology options that really drive enablement of the program. And we'll talk about that here in a little bit, but it's all about how can I make this more efficient for all the different parties involved? And so we were testing, for example, some drive over readers, and that all of that kind of accumulated together about 1.5 years ago. And so we started setting out on some pilots with some very specific fleets, just a handful to see how the program would work. And to your point, now we're getting ready to kick it off next year on a broader scale.
The new program will be a fully managed tire program for small and medium fleets, with Bridgestone owning the tires and continuously monitoring tire health to optimize replacement. Fleets in the program will be charged not on a per tire basis, but rather based on usage.
So a program that we've developed, we call it our last mile tire system. And really what it is, it's a fully managed tire program for these small and medium fleets. Right now, we're focusing on fleets that are domiciled. So meaning fleets that come back to a certain yard, parking lot, terminal on a somewhat frequent basis, because the whole concept is the assets, the tires on the vehicles are our assets that Bridgestone will own and manage. We will track them throughout the use and optimize the replacements of those tires through our commercial dealer network. And then we will turn around and charge the fleet not on a per tire basis, like we talked about them being very cash constrained, and we're still going to be using the most premium and optimized tires for this application. But by being able to track the usage, aka the use of the tread depth of the tire or the loss of the tread depth, we're consolidating that usage at the end of the month for the fleet, so they only pay for what they use. So it's more as a pay-as-you-go program. So in more detail, how the program really works is we work with a fleet. We go in, we pretty much buy them out of their tires. So we, take over all those assets. And from that point on, we start tracking them right now on a weekly basis. In the future, if we have these drive over systems on a more broader scale out in the market, really every time they come back to their terminal or their yard, right, we get those measurements. And that allows us to then take that information and notify our dealer network when a tire needs to be replaced. So we can be very specific that vehicle 123, the front right tire, is at 5:30 seconds. DOT is 4. So we want to go out that week, check the tire, make sure that it gets replaced at the right time. The dealer manages all of that in yard after hours. So the fleet doesn't have to take their vehicles somewhere. The drivers don't have to go and drop them off or get a replacement vehicle for the time while the vehicle's in the shop. And then we take those tires back, we evaluate them if we can retread them. If we can, then we reintroduce retreads into the program as well, again, to drive that sustainability factor. And Bridgestone manages all of that piece with our commercial dealer network. We then share that information with the fleets. And as I mentioned earlier, charge them kind of on a pay-as-you-go basis.
After a word from 1044 sponsor Chevron Lubricants, we'll hear more from Christine about the benefits of the last mile tire system. Protecting your diesel engine and its after-treatment system has traditionally been a double-edged sword. The same engine oil that is so essential to protecting your engine's internal parts is also responsible for 90% of the ash that is clogging up your DPF and upping your fuel and maintenance costs. Outdated industry thinking still sees a trade-off between engine and emission system protection, and Chevron was tired of it. So they spent a decade of R&D developing a no-compromise formulation. Chevron Lubricants developed a new ultra-low ash diesel engine oil that is specifically designed to combat DPF ash clogging. Delo 600 ADF with OmniMax technology cuts sulfate ash by a whopping 60%, which reduces the rate of DPF clogging and extends DPF service life by 2.5 times. And just think what you can do with all the MPGs you're going to add from cutting your number of regens. But Delo 600 ADF isn't just about aftertreatment. It provides complete protection, extending drain intervals by preventing oil breakdown. Before you had to choose between protecting your engine or your aftertreatment system, and now you don't. 600 ADF from Delo with OmniMax technology, it's time to kick some ash.
So the overall benefits are at a multitude. I would say for the fleets, first and foremost, it's about ease of mind and convenience. Tires isn't necessarily what they want to spend most of their time on, but they run through tires very, very quickly. And so, it tends to be a key downtime point for them. So not having to think about when tires need to be replaced, making sure that they only pay for the tires or what they use of that tire is key. Not only today you might go in for an oil change, and if a dealer notices, hey, this tire is at 6:30 seconds, they're probably going to recommend that you change that tire. So in this case, if it's a steer tire, you're going to lose 2:30 seconds of the value that you paid for that tire. The dealer makes money, right? And the fleet kind of sits there and ends up having a pretty high bill. So it's about really just paying for what they use, having that cash flow benefit of paying, for that 30-second usage and not for the whole tire at one point in time, and that ease of mind on the convenience and the compliance basis. All the while they get to use, the most premium products in that application.
To track tire wear, Bridgestone has invested in a company with a drive-over system that measures the tread depth of a truck's tires as it drives over the sensors.
We're working with a company that we've invested into that has a great drive-over system. So think of it as like a little speed bump that would be installed in the yard, and it measures through magnetic waves the distance between the mat that you drive over and the steel belts in the tire. And so therefore we get a really good accurate reading of what the actual tread depth of each of the tires are. So instead of having a person go out, right, and every week or every day measure those tires, which is not very efficient and not a fun job, we actually get that data automatically that, as you mentioned, enables all of that. Currently, we're starting to roll out these mats. The program works with manual measurements. In most cases, a weekly measurement is completely sufficient, depending on the application. If you have some over-the-road fleets, tires last 1 to 2 years, so you don't need to measure daily, certainly. But as you get closer to that pull point, the more data points you have, right, the higher the accuracy. We want to make sure we have compliant vehicles on the road, safe operating conditions, but also drive efficiency in the program.
The program set to launch with FedEx contractors in early 2023 before a broader rollout in late 2023 and into 2024.
Right now, I think the restrictions is more on us being able to roll out the program. in getting there enough. So we have a lot of interest, but right now we're restricting it more to some key metros, building through that next year, and then a much broader rollout into second half of 23 into 24. So we've focused specifically right now on the rollout within the FedEx contractor space. And so we have a list of interest more than we can handle. So really, it's more about a direct contact relationship and reach out. So we have an email, it's lmd@bfusa.com. And we can also share a website link that talks about the program. So if there's any interest, fleets can reach out through either the website or that email to let us know if they're interested. And then we'll work through likely follow-up discussions, calls, and then figure out where they fit in the priority plan. We are also working on some interim programs that fleets can use if we can't get them into the fully managed program, so that they do get access to premium tires at better pricing that they would get retail today. But it's more on a direct communication path right now.
Christine says the pricing will be based on tire size, then broken down to a price per 30 seconds of tread depth.
So on the pricing side, we try to make it simple just because it can get very complex. Pretty much we agree up front. We have a recommended portfolio of products that we want to use, which are specifically designed in this case for, pickup and delivery, high scrub, stop and go type of application. If you're more of a line haul contractor, more regional application, we have products for that as well. And then the largest tire sizes in terms of category would be 16-inch, 19.5-inch, 22 and 24.5-inch tires. So we, instead of breaking it down by product, we said, okay, here's a price per tire size. So let's pick a 19.5-inch tire. Here's the price per 30 seconds that you would pay. And that's an all-inclusive price. So that price per 30 second includes obviously the tire itself, right, broken down, but it also includes the cost for us to track your tire from a tread depth measurement standpoint, whether that's, manually or via technology. It's the in-yard service that our dealers would provide to you, the installs, so mount and dismount, any balancing costs, if your valve stem needs to be replaced, all of the other kind of environmental disposal fees, all the other things that you normally see on your tire invoice. So all of that is included in that specific cost per 30 second. And so it's very easy to track, right? If you want to do the math for yourself, it would have to be an average of, again, here's your steer tires, here's your drive tires. But instead of breaking all that out, we try to keep it simple. So it's one price per 30 seconds for each of the different tire sizes.
That's it for this week's 1044. You can read more on ccjdigital.com. As always, you can find the 1044 each week on CCJ's YouTube channel. And if you've got questions, comments, criticisms, or feedback, please hit us up at 1044trucking@gmail.com or give us a call at 404-491-1380. Until next week, everybody have a safe new year and be safe out on the road.